So, welcome back to Full Throttle. And as the title suggests, will McLaren run away with the 2025 World Drivers' Championship and the 2025 World Constructors' Championship? Honestly, the answer lies in the rest of the video. So stay tuned and find out. So, the Miami Grand Prix. Wow. A Grand Prix that I honestly never really was a fan of. It has a DRS zone. It's too small. That got reduced after the first year. It's got certain parts of the circuit that just don't promote overtaking. And at the end, it just seems like people are just doing a procession sometimes. There's some incredible high-speed corners, amazing paddock clubs, and amazing views, but is it the best racing? I don't know. This year, however, though, Miami blew my mind. It was a phenomenal and fun, exciting race. We had McLarens fighting with Max. We had engine blowouts. We had lap 1 incidents. We had the threat of rain, which for some reason hasn't formalized yet in Miami. It was a fun race. It was so exciting. So with that, we are now around 5 races into this season, and we're getting a good idea of where the performance of all these teams lies, where McLaren, or Red Bull, where Ferrari lie. So here are my thoughts after the Miami GP. A little bit tied to the GP, and then towards what we think is the main thing, is whether McLaren will, win the championship right now from race 5. Alright, so we start the race with Oscar Piastri. P1, won the race. Phenomenal racecraft, phenomenal race pace. Just did a good job overall. Was a bit opportunistic with the Lando and Max squabble up front, but had some great pace, managing his tires. It looks like he's getting better at sort of managing his overall racecraft, and more importantly, his tire wear, which was a weakness of him last year. So, well-deserved win. Honestly deserved it all the way, and glad to see it happen. One more Oscar Piastri win. Now, Lando Norris had a little bit of a kerfuffle with Max. I think he did the right thing, pressured Max a little bit. And Max did what Max does, which is run people off the road. I'm kidding. We'll talk about it a little bit later. But, I think Lando came back in the best way that he could. Put some monster laps at the end, put Oscar under a little bit of pressure. But honestly, I felt like Oscar was managing his tires a little bit. So Lando did a good job at the end, showed his true raw pace. And, solid P2, did qualify there, finished there, and ahead of Max. I think that's the key thing with these guys, is they have to sort of try to be ahead of Max at the bare minimum, and then, of course, be ahead of both of each other, right? So, good stuff from Lando as well. So the runner-ups, George Russell, Max Verstappen. George Russell, I don't know how the hell in the last 4 or 5 weeks, or races rather, he's been able to always be there, be in the podium through some stroke of luck. He's not ever able to compete on pace with either a high-flying Max or the McLarens, but somehow, through some sort of luck or just sheer consistency, he's always there. So it's great to see George kind of come up there. Obviously, we've seen Mercedes win so much in the Lewis Hamilton era, but an odd Mercedes podium is something I can live with. So good job, George. Now, with Max. Max, turn 1, or turn 2 rather. I think he ran Lando off the road. Didn't receive a penalty, but I'm not a steward. I think that Max has a certain way of driving, which is encouraging more driving people off roads rather, and I think that's something that will have to be worked on, because as drivers adopt this new way of defending, and they are more and more, it's going to lead to more of this sort of pushing people off road type passing, which I'm not a huge fan of, but that's a little bit more classic Max. So that's Max for you. Alright, so the sleeper winner of the race, Williams. Oh my god. Alex Albon, P5. Could see George Russell down the road. Max Verstappen down the road. As an F1 fan who grew up in the era where I saw Williams come down and always fight for P18, P19, to see them in P5 and genuinely feel like they can fight for more, it's amazing. And it shows, with the amazing hiring of Sainz. I know he had a little bit of a kerfuffle with Albon, and I'm sure that'll get sorted out. But James Vowles and that leadership, and obviously the investment that comes along with Dorlington Capital, it's showing, and the team is really kind of progressing up, and going to where Williams is really meant to be. As newer F1 fans for the last 6-7 years, we don't know, or rather I do, but a lot of people don't know that Williams was a legendary team, one of the best and most successful in all of F1. So to see them with Alex and with James and Sainz now really coming up in the top 10 consistently, that's an amazing thing to see, especially in the first 5 races of the year, where it's been a lot of different racetracks and they've always been there. So amazing to see. So excited and so happy for the result that Williams had in Miami. In James Vowles, we trust. Alright, so now it comes to the part of the video where we talk about losers, and I hate to admit it, Aston Martin, team that I support personally because of me being Canadian, so Lance Stroll, but me being way more of a fan instead of being Canadian of Alonso. We all want to see Alonso win a race, and honestly, it just was a bad one. I think he finished in the bottom half, last few places, and just, it was a tough race. You know, Aston's not come off to a good start. So much investment going on, so much amazing star signing, and I just think it's taking time for everything to gel together. I think like every fan, that Aston can give Alonso a car that can, you know, take him to the championship, and I think he's amazing like that. But this just wasn't a great race. Hope it gets better in the future with some upgrades at least. So the rookies, Hadger, Bortoleto, Lawson, rookie crash, rookie first turn 1. It happens, it's turn 1, it's sort of a tight turn, it happens, not too surprised. What I was surprised about was Behrman with the engine blowout. Kind of cool visual on TV, but kind of not something we see a lot nowadays. You know, in F1 we don't see engine blowouts and proper engine blowouts where you can see the fire. You know, so that was kind of cool to see, but obviously ruined his race. Kind of lost out there, so that's a little bit on the rookies. And I think the last sort of biggest loser was Ferrari. Now, obviously, as you can see in my Ferrari shirt, I am a Ferrari fan because I think, as Vettel infamously said, every F1 fan is a Ferrari fan. It was just, they didn't have the sort of main pace, and then at the same time, I just feel like there was just a little bit of delay, and I think Lewis Hamilton felt it too in his radio, as everyone heard, where there's just some indecision happening. You know, if they wanted Charles ahead, they should have put him ahead right away and give him a chance. If they wanted Lewis ahead, put him right ahead and give him a chance to overtake someone up ahead. Wasting time behind each other, just ruining tires, isn't really helping anyone. And at the end of the day, in my opinion about these things, is you've got to give the drivers a chance to pass ahead, and if they don't, switch them around, you know? By that time, these teams have enough lap time to figure out when the right time for switches and so on and so forth. I just feel like Ferrari was just really slacking on the decisions there. But hopefully you can see some better stuff out of them. You know, Charles deserves it. Lewis would be great to see winning the Ferrari as well. But a little bit of indecision for Ferrari. I'm sure it'll be better in the next few races. So, why you guys made it to the end of the video? Will McLaren run away with the championship? The answer is, I don't think they will, you know. I think McLaren has a phenomenal race car, phenomenal drivers, and a race-winning pedigree as a team. This year looks like the year. The truth is, the car is really doing well, and with its tire wear attribute, which is where it seems to have always a much better management of the tire temperatures, whether that's through some really clever ventilating or some really clever phase change materials, things that we'll talk about in a future video. I think it's not really an easy clear-cut win for them. We saw with Max, you know, beating them last week at Suzuka. This week, they had a phenomenal race. They were 20 plus seconds ahead. But I've been analyzing the race pace sort of gaps at the end of the last lap, the last few races. It's between 2 and 12 seconds. Nothing drastic. Nothing like the Max Verstappen era or the Lewis Hamilton era where 30 seconds, 45 seconds ahead of P2, P3, you know. So I don't think they're going to run away with it. I think they are going to have the fastest car, and then Max is going to make the difference. If George Russell gets a few upgrades, he might make the difference as well. And then, you know, we're going to have the Inter-Lando versus Oscar battle as well. I think they have the superior car for now, but you know, in F1, it just takes one upgrade to unlock that last 10th, and then it becomes a crazy battle. So I think it's a little bit too soon. Let's see what they have. I think their car is really strong right now. Let's see what Red Bull has in the pipeline. Let's see what Mercedes has in the pipeline. Very competent teams. And we'll see if McLaren actually runs away with the championship. But by and large, thank you for watching. More videos coming down the pipeline. Thanks for watching. Cheers.